The next, hello, here we are going to study the next part of the nationalism in Europe. In the earlier part, we have seen the French Revolution and nationalism in the Europe. Now we'll see the making of nationalism in Europe, how the task had taken place there in the Europe. If you add, if you look at the map of mid-18th century Europe, you will find that there were no nation states as we know them today. Today, if you will look the map of Europe, very small nation or states you will look. But it was not same in the 18th century. In the 18th century, it was very different than the today. What we know today as Germany, Italy, Switzerland were divided into kingdoms. The nations today which we are looking, the Germany, Italy, Switzerland were divided in the different kingdoms, duchies and cantons, whose rulers had their autonomous territories. Their rulers were having autonomous territories. Eastern and Central Europe were under autocratic monarchy. The Europe's Eastern Europe part and the Central Europe was under the autocratic monarchies. The Eastern and Central Europe under autocratic monarchies within the territories of which lived diverse people. They did not see themselves as sharing a collective identity or common culture. No any commonness were there. Themselves they always trying to show the differences. Often they even spoke different languages. They were speaking different languages and belonged to different ethnic groups. They were belonging from the different ethnic groups. Habsburg Empire ruled over Austria and Hungary, for example, was patchwork of many different regions and people. The Habsburg Empire was an example of different region and the people. It includes Alpine region, Tyrol, Austria and Sudetenland, as well as Bohemia, where the autocracy was predominantly German-speaking. In this region, the German-speaking were there and different groups were living. Italian-speaking provinces of Lombardy and Venetia in Hungary, half of the population spoke Magyar, while the others spoke a variety of dialects. In the Hungary also, the same language was not spoken. Half of the population was speaking Magyar, while the other half were speaking the different dialects. Local languages, Boli Bhasha. In Galicia, in other region, the aristocracy spoke Polish. The aristocracy, the high class themselves who were thinking or having were speaking the language Polish. Beside these three dominant groups also lived within boundaries of the empire. Along with this aristocracy, other three dominant groups also living in this region. Such differences did not easily promote a sense of political unity. Many differences were there in the living style, in the culture, in the language speaking. So it was not easy to bring unity in this part, political unity. The only tie binding these diverse groups together was a common allegiance to the empire. One thing you will look everywhere, you will find everywhere throughout the Europe, the common allegiance to the emperor, bonding to the emperor. This was very common thing. But the whole Europe was a completely diverse region and bringing nationalism was not easy task. If it was very difficult, then how could it happen? We are going to see in this part. How did nationalism and the idea of nation state emerged with the different events with different incidents? The aristocracy and the new middle class. Socially and politically, a landed aristocracy was the dominant class on the continent in the life of the social life and the political life. The landed aristocracy, strong aristocracy, was the dominant class. It was the dominant class throughout the continent, not only in one country or in one kingdom. The members of the class were united by a common way of life. The members of the aristocracy group were united in the common way of life that cut across regional divisions. No divisions, maybe they are living in different regions, but the way of leading life of this aristocracy was the same. They owned estate. These aristocracy were owned more estate, large estate, mass estate in the countryside, and also townhouses. Not only in the countryside they earned or owned the lands or mass lands, but also in towns also they owned the houses. They spoke French language. All aristocracy were trying to speak the French language. The diplomacy was there to show the high society. If one is speaking in the French, then only he can call from the high society. If you want to know yourself to call the high class society, then you should be speak the French language. It was the one way or the way of leading the aristocracy in the Europe. Their families were Their families always were often connected by ties of marriages. Matrimonial relations were there among this aristocracy. Maybe they belong from German, maybe they belong from French or Austria-Hungary, but they were tied with the matrimonial relations. This powerful aristocracy was, however, numerically small groups. Their numbers were very small. The majority of the population was made up of the peasantry. If the aristocracy was very small group, then the remaining group was formed through the peasant. Many more peasants were contributing in the population. We have seen in the French Revolution, only 10% aristocracy was there and 90% the population was belongs from the peasant or the lower classes or the third estate. So the most of population belongs from the farmer. To the west, the bulk of the land was farmed by tenant or the small owners. In the western part of Europe, the most of land is farmed by the tenants or the small owners. What happening in the Eastern and Central Europe, the pattern of land holding was characterized by vast estates which were cultivated by serf. In the eastern part and the central part of the Europe, the vast estate was owned by the aristocracy and it was cultivated by the serfs. Serfs landless labor in the Europe. They were called as the serfs. So this part was cultivated by the serfs. In the western and parts of Central Europe, the growth of industrial production and trade meant the growth of towns and emergence of commercial classes whose existence was based on production for the market. In the western part and the central part, the industrial industries were emerging. Due to this industrialization, the towns also developed and middle class also developed in this part. Industrialization began in the England in the second half of the 18th century. The industrialization started first in the England in the second half of the 18th century, but in the France and the part of German state it occurred only in the during 19th century. In England it started very early, but in the rest of Europe it reached slowly. In the often of the German states it occurred only during the 19th century. In 19th century it spread. It is in its wake new social group came into being. Cause of the industrialization, new social group is formed. Working class population. This was the working class population who were working in the industries where belongs from this class, and middle class made up industries, and those who were made the industries they also formed the middle class businessmen and professional. Due to this industrialization, the classes were changed. The status of people is changed. Those who were maybe working as a laborer, now they become workers in the industries, or the people who were formed the industries, established the industries, became high middle class, the professional and the businessmen. In Central and the Eastern Europe, these groups were smaller. In the central part and the eastern part of the Europe, the middle class, those who newly emerged here, that was small.